from The Mirror. Nancy Pelosi, at the ripe young age of 85, will reportedly not seek re-election in 2026. No, but she's so young. She has so much of her future and career ahead of her at 85 relative to the rest of these people running for office. Who's that lady who's 88 and has dementia and is running for re-election?
I have no idea.
Let me pull that one up.
But as for Nancy Pelosi, I mean, we all know why. Like, she's made enough money in the stock market.
It's about power. It's about what was your the politician out in California, the lady? She was in her 90s. She was in a wheelchair. She just passed away.
Dianne Feinstein.
Dianne Feinstein.
Yeah.
Like, what is she doing there? What is she doing there at 85? We always talked about term limits when I was in office in Toronto, and.
Okay, so
I think if you have a 4-year term, you can run at 69 years old. As soon as you land in the 70s, you're done.
So there's
right?
Eleanor Holmes Norton, 88-year-old delegate, non-voting member from D.C. She's 88. She filed to run again in 2026. And the D.C. police report listed her as having early stages of dementia and noted she has a house manager with power of attorney.
That's a joke. Like I said, you land in your 70s, you're 69, you can run, you're 73, you're done.
I like that idea.
It's, you got all the, you're not in touch with young people, but it's all about power. Why are they there?
Well,
at what age should we stop allowing people to drive?
I think that depends. Well, it depends on the individual. They should have to go for tests. I think probably
we have that in Canada. We
go
for a test after I think it's 85. You got to go and you got.
I think once you hit 80,
driving test, you got to pass your test. So.
I think once you hit 80, you should go and you should have to be have to go back for a test.
No
unless
reason
you have
to be 85 and in office.
No, not at all.
You're not in touch with what's going on with the youth, and it's just a joke.
But as for driving, I think unless you if you have a self-driving car like a Tesla or something like that, then fine. But otherwise,
everyone's different. It's everyone's different.
Yeah, that's why you have the test.
85-year-old could be way better than driving than somebody's.
I suppose it's a question we want you to ask because we're going to have self-driving cars in a couple of years.
All made in Canada.
Are they all made in Canada?
No.
Boys putting the
Tesla's the most.
American, yeah.
Tesla's the most American-made car currently right now.
I like all tariffs. I think we should tariff everything. No more imports. Just gone. Unless it can't be made here at all.
Well, hang on. Come on, Tim. So, your number one trading partner is Canada, and me being in a trucking company, some of these parts that cross the border 3 or 4 times they go back and forth. It's our premier, which is your governor, Doug Ford. He's a good friend of mine. I talked to him today. He wants to get a deal done, right? And we're pushing on a string. We put those ads across during the World Series, and President Trump got all ticked off and stopped the negotiation, which is, to me, it's ridiculous. It's like we're trying to push on a string now, right?
So I guess,
but it's we have the aluminum. Any tariff put on the United States is a tariff on the people, right? And we're better together than apart. That's for sure. And I'm not in the weeds on the tariffs, in that. But if we're screwing the United States on tariffs, let's sit down and negotiate it. For the president to say, no, I'm not going to talk to Canada, I'm not going to talk to them right now, it's ridiculous.
Well, why is it ridiculous?
Because
what do we need?
He's not the only one playing to his base. We have our governor, Doug Ford, our premier, who is playing to his base. We have our prime minister has to play to his base. We just can't roll over to President Trump.
Sure.
I support a lot of things he's doing. But Canada and U.S. together are much better than being apart.
What does the U.S. need from Canada?
Lumber.
Aluminum, our minerals.
Lumber.
Our lumber. It's crazy. And people are getting ticked off in Canada. Like I said, you may think it's very small, but all the border states, like in Buffalo and Kingston, Niagara Falls, all across the border, across this country, they rely on Canadians coming across. And I cross the border quite a bit, and there is nobody. There's lineups to cross. There's nobody crossing the border. I was talking to somebody in Florida at the TD Bank. I was telling Charlie before we came in here, they're selling their places in Florida. People are they're really ticked off about what's going on. And listen, it's
okay.
Canada and the United States have been friends for a very long time. And I go back to, you guys are all too young for this, the Canadian Caper. Anyone know what the Canadian Caper is?
No.
Back in Tehran in 1979, Iran was coming into your embassy, and we took 6 of your embassy workers, hid them in our embassy for 3 months, had them lose their American accents. We worked with the CIA. We came up with this crazy movie, this
Yeah.
production called Argo.
Yeah.
And we got them out, right?
Well, we don't need Canada for aluminum. In fact, because of our trade with Canada, we've become dependent on Canada. So I'm in favor of the tariffs. Estimates are within 10 to 15 years, we can get off of our Canadian dependency for aluminum.
Okay, well, let's talk about it. Let's just don't just turn the tap off, because right now the tariffs are a tax on the U.S. people. Like it's who's paying for it?
So
Like who's paying for the tariff, Tim? Like the tariffs are on the American people. But we're stronger together. And I said, we want America to bring all these manufacturing jobs because we have, the minerals, the
why should the U.S. not develop its own aluminum industry?
Sure. If you did, we would even make Canada stronger too, because you don't have everything you need. We have it.
So what's the argument for the U.S. to say, instead of developing our own aluminum industry, we'll trade with Canada and then have to have these negotiations?
Well, you have to have the negotiations now because there's no trade. Like it's crazy. Like it's
and the problem is we should have never become dependent on Canadian aluminum.
okay, but that's happened. That has happened.
And now the best thing we can do is
it's just I'm not talking
incentivize
about
the
aluminum.
industrial development in the U.S., which tariffs will help do.
Listen, there's a whole bunch of different tariffs. I'm not going to get into that, but I said Canada and the United States have been are allies for a very long time. We're your best friend, your neighbor, your largest trading partner. Our Ontario alone, like it was like your state. We're like, if we were our own country, we'd be your third largest trading partner behind China and Mexico. It's massive. It's massive.
The issue I see is that this gives foreign countries influence in our nation. This is a really great example. So pulling up the data, the United States produces around, I think, 18% of its aluminum. And the reason is we've not developed our own industry, which would take 10 to 15 years and $20 to $30 billion to produce American.
Where do you get the raw materials for that?
The United States, we could do it. It would take 20 to 30, 15, 10 to 15
Where's the raw
years.
materials to make the aluminum? Where's that coming from?
The United States. In our own internal territories, we could set up the mines.
But where's the aluminum mines in the United States? Where are they?
Not built yet.
But where? Like what state has aluminum?
Well, okay, sure. Let's. Is Canada the only region of the North Americas that have aluminum?
Civilization
Just
when
like, but right now,
resource
the way,
appears.
President Trump is talking about Canada. It's ridiculous. You had the Operation Yellow Ribbon also that during 9/11, where all those planes landed in Gander, Newfoundland. We took 6,000 U.S.
Arkansas
put them in people's homes. We put them. The population of Gander is 10,000. We took 6,000 U.S. citizens and put them we're your number one friend. So you know what? Negotiate hard on the tariffs, but don't be treating Canada like we're some piece of up off the street. It's ridiculous and it's uncalled for. But right now we're pushing on a string. I'm not going to talk to Canada on the tariffs right now. That's to me it's a challenge. Listen, I support a lot that your president's doing, but I tell you. It's not good for either country.
No, I thought it was like, at first I was like, what's this rhetoric where he's like, we're going to invade Canada, we're going to take over Canada. It's like, dude, first of all, have respect for other humans. Don't talk down like they're some bitch. Like, yo, bro, this is our neighbor. If there is an invasion from China, you better believe Canada, the battle's going to happen in Canada.
Guys. Canada does not mine aluminum ore, bauxite. It imports every single ton from Guinea, Brazil, Australia, and China. Okay, the United States has Arkansas to mine, but still requires imports beyond that. Why are we dependent on Canada to import from Guinea, Brazil, Australia, or China? We need to crank the tariffs up 10x. This is insanity. We got a middleman with a foreign country for our aluminum when we could be going straight to Brazil. Why don't we just import from Brazil directly?
Part of it's because it's dirty. The production is dirty. You saw East Palestine when they dumped
cut the transportation costs.
But now it's getting sent. This is the biggest problem I've had the whole time, and why I've supported the Trump tariffs. Skateboards is a really great example, and I don't care if you don't care about skateboarding. It's an example of industry. We get lumber from the Pacific Northwest and from Canada, North American rock maple. We put it on ships and send it to China so that Chinese peasants can make skateboards and send them back to the United States so we can sell them $5 cheaper. It is the stupidest thing imaginable because companies knew that Chinese peasant labor was cheaper and they didn't want to pay American workers, so they exported all of these products in the stupidest way. It's actually more expensive to do, but the labor is dirt cheap. The idea that we're going to import bauxite, that Canada imports it, so it goes to Canada, then gets refined, then sent to us, it's stupid. So maybe if the U.S. builds its own refineries, mines in Arkansas where it can, and imports the rest directly from the miners in Guinea, Brazil, Australia, or China, we will save money in the long run.
How long is that going to take for that?
10 to 15 years.
10 to 15 years. So in 10 to 15 years, and listen, we probably are too reliant on the United States, but that's 10 to 15 years out. What are you doing right now?
I'm a long-term investment kind of person.
People in the U.S. It's
Indeed.
tariff on the people, right?
Yep.
So listen,
and this will. How insane is it that Canada imports bauxite, then the U.S. imports from Canada instead of us importing directly? And so this argument that tariffs are a tax on the people it's a meaningless statement. The issue is free trade has been detrimental to the self-sufficiency of every nation that's engaged in it, and now we are wasting a ridiculous amount of fossil fuel energy to ship all of this garbage all over the world for no reason other than creating dependencies. I'm opposed to that. I think we should have our own steel plants, our own aluminum plants. I think that we should have our own skateboard factories, and we should be built. We should have things inside the United States so we can be self-sufficient. The point of the tariffs is to say, if you want this product made by Chinese peasants or from Brazil or whatever, it's going to be more expensive than if people in the United States do it. And so if people want to buy their Temu products, by all means, face your tariff. Or what will happen in the short term is a lot of new investment into new factories in the United States. And within 10 to 15 years, we could replace Canada as the producer of aluminum for the United States. We don't need them.
It's going to take some time.
Indeed, and I don't care how long it takes. I don't see an argument for being dependent and forced into negotiations with another country, especially when you've got Canada in, what was it? Was it Ontario where they're running these commercials attacking Trump and Reagan, using Reagan? I mean, it's offensive. We don't need it.
But Tim, like our politicians are playing to their base, like your president's playing to his base. Like they just can't roll over and say, oh yeah, Trump. It's Canada's the same as.
I tell you this:
half the people like Trump, half the people don't like Trump. But our politicians, our premier, which is our governor, Doug Ford, there's no one wants to have a deal more than him. But
so
you just can't
listen,
sit back and take it, right?
If
we shouldn't be treated that way. We shouldn't be treated that way. We shouldn't have to put those friggin' commercials on the World Series.
Why did that? I mean, that's imagine you want a book deal. Or you want a record label deal, or you want to get signed by a professional sports team. So instead of going there and saying, I will be the best guy you've ever signed, I will work twice as hard for you, trust me, I want this deal and I will do whatever it takes. Imagine if instead of doing that to get signed by like an NBA team, you put up a bunch of billboards saying, F these guys, F those guys,
and
sign me or
that.
else.
We've been to Washington on many. Our prime minister was down there, the former prime minister. Our teams have been down to Washington. I know a personal friend of mine is a member of parliament. He's been to Washington. There's been many meetings that have been to Washington. I'm saying if we're screwing on the tariffs, let's sit down, let's negotiate it. But don't treat Canada like it's some piece of shit off the street, because we're not. We've had a long-standing friendship relation through many wars. Canadians didn't get drafted like you guys get drafted here. The Korean War, the Afghan War. You talk about Libya, Rwanda. We've been there for you. We've been with you guys all along. So you know what? If we're screwing you on the tariff, let's negotiate it. But don't treat Canada like some piece of shit off the street, because there's a lot of stuff. There's 3 million Canadians in Florida, right? And I have many friends here in the United States, and it said it's.
You know what I do? I agree with you. I would never treat someone that way in business. I would simply shake your hand and say, deals are off. All trade is canceled. Thank you for your time. Have a nice day. I wish you the best. Good luck with your aluminum factories.
Yeah, but listen, I'm not just talking about aluminum, but that's going to take.
I know,
years
peanut butter.
So listen, let's have the conversation. But just the way it's going down now, it's not right. And we want a deal, but it's like pushing on a string right now. So.
It seems bizarre that there would be even an inkling of hostility between these two countries.
Exactly.
They're the ultimate partners on Earth, like more close than England and the United States.
We've fought side by side in many wars with you guys, and I said, Gander, Newfoundland, when 9/11 went down, they put all the planes down. Gander, Newfoundland had 10,000 people. We took 6,000 Americans, and they brought them in people's homes.
I don't think
we're friends. Like we're friends, right?
And that's fine. I don't think Canada should be in a position where they want these trade deals either.
What do you think about it?
We're probably to blame too. We've probably been too reliant on the United States, and I'm the first guy to admit that. But let's sit down now and figure it out. But
what do you think about? I'd rather talk about tariffs. I just want to ask you real quick about greater unification between Canada and the United States. I don't like seeing Canada having a king, like the King of England. King, what's his name? Charles.
It's symbolic. It's
Well, technically, he can. get
Yeah,
out of
it's-
Parliament.
That's no.
I mean, he's the king of Canada. It's fucked up that there's a king.
Oh, it's
You got a one-track mind, Ian.
they are our allies.
just-
They're like our
well,
greatest.
hold on.
It's a symbolic thing. It's
King Charles gave back Canada.
yeah. It's just
He gave it back
It's
Give it back to who?
a long time.
to the what is it? The Anishibig or
Anishinaabe.
Anishabig,
It's-
and the Algonquin Anishabig.
That's not even.
He gave it back.
It's just symbolic. It's not even.
But it's literal. He's the king of Canada.
no, he's not.
Yeah, literally.
Well,
if
he
you
is.
look up king of Canada,
He is
King
literally
Charles
the
is king of
king.
Canada.
The question.
It's a symbolic thing. That's not even. That's not even here.
I feel like the Canadians are tricked into saying that, and Australians are tricked into saying that. But he could get rid of your
No,
prime
never
minister.
happening. Just like we're not going to be the 51st state. But like I said, let's sit down and talk about. Like I said,
Is there
so many-
are there articles in the Canadian government that would allow King Charles to disband its parliament?
No, I don't believe there are.
There are.
I'm not into
The question there are. That's quite literally what Charles is
Never
king of
gonna
Canada.
happen. Never.
And that's a different argument.
Again, there's another country, England and Canada are great friends, right? Like all three, England, Canada, U.S., always together. Wherever we go in the world, we're the first guys behind you. And like I said, there's a lot.
I do think it's wild to be like, we do have a king, but he doesn't tell us what to do. And it's like,
that's just.
but you have a king.
Yeah, like he's buddies with the World Economic Forum, and like where was he during COVID? Like where is he to stop the street riots in England right now? Like you're supposed to be your best friends to the north, but if you're gonna subserve to some king, like fuck that. No, we need allies. We need independent allies.
It's not even
keep
an issue. That's not
asserting
even a
this.
friggin' issue.
I
It's not
think-
even-
I agree with Ian. I actually think King Charles is a Davos WEF guy. That's why the UK and his mom and his family has imported the third world just endlessly, and why they lock up anyone who dares speak out, because you have a king. And that's his ideology. And I talk to people from the UK and they say, oh yeah, King Charles is totally on board with Islam and bringing these people in. And then you look at Canada and they're very much doing the same thing. And so I'm like, is it a coincidence that your king wants it and it's happening? It's crazy to be like, no, the king has no control, despite the fact we are doing exactly what he wants.
No, that's not happening. Not happening.
Well,
But anyway,
it is
I wanna get back to
happening.
the-
The
I wanna
question
get
is,
back to,
is he making it happen?
Canada-U.S. relations should be, not the way it's going now. And I tell you, like I said, a lot of these border towns, Buffalo, Lewiston, Kingston, you go right across this country, this border. They rely on the Canadians that come over. Canadians are over there every weekend. The tourism dollars that Canadians pile in.
They're basically the same
and they're
cities
not
on
coming
both
down.
sides.
Exactly, and then they rely on us. And
And the same is true
look at,
for
like Niagara Falls. They have all the outlet malls there. They're dying.
The Canadian side's better, by the way.
the same is true for the southern border.
The Canadian side of Niagara Falls is better.
Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.